The NBA is back, and the new season of your favorite reality TV show is making waves for a scandal that was as inevitable as it is cringe. The money laundering orgy between Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers, and the tree-hugging Green Bank startup Aspiration would be hilarious if it wasn't so pathetic. But the shameless audacity of it all is worth drilling down on, because it diagnoses what I believe to be the NBA's terminal illness, a singular loyalty to money and nothing else. And today, I'm going to explain why the NBA's late-stage money worshipping is a virus that is corroding the soul of the game, the product on the floor, and the future of the sport. So, to set the table for us here, I'm going to lead with a clip from my latest feature film, The Spoils, Selling the Future of American Basketball.
Here's the funny thing about capitalism and sports. In order to be a successful business, it needs to be more than a business. There's something to the individuating incentives of the modern era that have really crept into the sport, and I think have permeated it to such a degree that the fans are picking up on it, and a lot of the fans don't like it, and I don't blame them.
You can watch The Spoils right here on this channel, so go subscribe and check it out after this video. Now, Ethan makes an important point here. In sports, in order to be a successful business, it has to be more than a business. Now, I'm not here to perform some trivial follow-the-money investigation. This is an autopsy, an inventory of the decay that is rotting American basketball from the inside out. So strap in, because I'm going to show you why every stakeholder, from the owners to the players, the fans, the media, and the league office itself, is complicit in turning the NBA into a once proud bastion of elite basketball competition, whose very motto was, "I love this game," into a sterile corporate wasteland that can't even shill where amazing happens with a straight face anymore. At this point, the NBA is simply brought to you by FanDuel and DraftKings. Did you cash out your parlay, bro? So, in case you missed it, here's an overview of the mess that Adam Silver's clown show is scrambling to contain.
Let's just recap it. September 2021 to March 2023, quote-unquote team Ballmer, meaning Steve Ballmer, the governor of the Clippers, Dennis Wong, the alternate governor of the Clippers, the CFO of the Clippers, and also the Clippers themselves via the letterhead with these weird carbon credits. They proceed to give a grand total of $118 million to Aspiration in 18 months. Each new payment, I would argue, less defensible than the last. In other words, Kawhi Leonard got from Aspiration a $28 million no-show job.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm honestly so jealous. So jealous. I mean, he's got the dream. Like, it's within my beliefs to be paid $28 million and do absolutely all as well.
That's incredible.
This is a very carefully orchestrated thing we're trying to do. And it involves, by the way, one of the 6 richest people in the world, a cardinal sin of sports, an unsolved mystery as well that I've been investigating for 7 months.
But these last pieces of information are huge. You've got other details involving Clippers by name. It's not just Ballmer. You've got paperwork here that is awfully damning here, attached to people in important roles. I don't know how the Clippers are going to be able to slither around some of this.
So, in a nutshell, some real journalism, I know it's crazy, right? Exposed Clippers owner Steve Ballmer doing financial gymnastics to pay Kawhi Leonard under the table, scheming to circumvent the league's salary cap rules. This secret side deal to pay Kawhi off the books for a no-show job planting trees, I can't even say it without laughing, undermines the league's foundational premise that its teams compete on a level playing field. This should be, for good reason, a hard red line in the sand. But Ballmer, allegedly, shrugged it off like a gnat at a barbecue. And why wouldn't he? This is, after all, the 7th richest man in the world. Someone who can buy anything that he wants. Why should NBA success be any different? Well, to state the obvious, if NBA championships can be bought, what's the point of even having a competitive league? Which is why this scandal speaks to a broader, systemic issue with respect to the modern owner and the place that NBA franchises now occupy in the financial landscape. As NBA franchise values explode, in dollar terms, they're attracting a new class of investors. And in today's melt-up economy, where money is printed out of thin air and hard assets are increasingly scarce, NBA franchises exist as a flagship line item for the world's wealthiest boys. So what does that mean? Well, today's owners no longer see these franchises as community institutions, or even as homes for the world's best players. They exist merely as another billion-dollar investment to grow, squeeze, and leverage for maximum return. Which is precisely why private equity firms are now buying up minority stakes in these teams. The majority owners are happy to take the PE money because they need the cash to market their teams around the world. And as global streaming deals make it possible to access new markets in Asia and Europe, the corporate incentive to maximize earnings is methodically drowning the basketball. This is why our NBA teams no longer feel like a part of their local community, and instead much more like international Fortune 500 conglomerates. Have you felt your relationship with your favorite team getting colder and feeling more nakedly transactional in recent years? This is why. Well, that's the cost, and it's borne out in the TV ratings. Nobody actually cares about the game on the floor anymore. There was a time, not that long ago, where skill and performance were the NBA's stock in trade, their currency, their ticket into your living room. But those days are gone. Today's NBA is so sanitized that it seems to exist purely as a vehicle for selling ads, luxury suites, and corporate sponsorships. It's a giant co-branded circle jerk. And the worst part is, it's boring. And in this attention-driven economy, boring is the cardinal sin. Layer all of that on top of the fact that the NBA still has the stink of the Tim Donaghy referee scandal lingering over it like a stale fart. And a large swath of fans still don't fully trust the legitimacy of NBA results. And quite frankly, I don't blame them. So this fiasco is the kind of brazen bullshit that unravels the lie that professional basketball is still some kind of meritocracy. And the meritocracy of it all brings us to the players. Let's start with America's talent pipeline, a system commonly known as AAU basketball. The AAU system has both professionalized and individualized every level of the American basketball system, from middle school to the NBA. From an early age, our best players are now taught to see themselves as a walking business. And these kids observe a media and scouting culture that refers to them as assets and commodities, an identity that they have very much internalized. But the money rot goes even deeper than that, which can be observed through the filter we now apply to who even lands in the league to begin with. A recent Wall Street Journal study reported that 48% of today's NBA players have at least one parent or family member who was a professional athlete. And a recent New Yorker expose, entitled Airball, spotlights the surge in second-generation NBA players, which has tripled since 2009. These studies underscore the advantage that wealth and connections provide in gaining access to elite training, media exposure, and recruiting opportunities, which, in sum, has effectively privatized this game. And while this money avalanche is professionalizing the base layer of the sport, it's also fundamentally reshaping the NBA's culture, demographics, and style of play. This shift is creating significant barriers for families without means, transforming basketball from a show-and-prove domain on the playground into an invite-only VIP room for families with money. This mutation in the system is consequential because it erodes basketball's cultural fit as a game of grit, joy, teamwork, and even artistry, and replaces it with the sanitized gatekeeping that defines corporate America. Bottom line here, the money is eating basketball's meritocracy. Our players were once celebrated as dreamers and artists, but now, well, they regard themselves as a business, first and foremost. What's that Jay-Z line? I'm not a businessman, I'm a business man. Post-NIL, even our high school players are effectively startups looking for seed round investments. Their every move, on and off the court, is packaged for endorsement deals, social media influence, and branded marketing campaigns, which means the basketball itself takes a back seat. It's lucky if it even gets stuffed in the trunk. Entire generations of American players now conceive of themselves as corporate mercenaries. And yes, they're getting the bag. But what happens to the sport when the game itself becomes an afterthought? And for the fans, the downstream effect of that is, if you tell them you're a business, that's how they're likely to treat you. And related to all of this is a core point that I cannot emphasize enough. The player-fan relationship has never been worse. It's bordering on toxic, and I'm not sure it can be repaired.
Watch your mouth, woman! Watch your mouth, woman!
Does it bother you that so many people are happy to see you fail?
Absolutely not. Because at the end of the day, all the people that was rooting on me to fail, at the end of the day, they got to wake up tomorrow and have the same life that they had before they woke up today.
And I think you are going to see more instances of fans being even more vitriolic toward players in this league. And it's an issue they're going to have to deal with, but it comes, I think, with the influx of gambling money that everyone's going to profit off of, both players and the league and the BRI.
Yeah.
But it's going to impact the way the relationship between fans and players in real time.
So let's talk about the fans. Now, we can't have this conversation without discussing the role that legalized gambling has played in warping this player-fan relationship.
In 2024, Americans wagered nearly $148 billion on sports alone, which is more than any other form of gambling. It's bigger than casinos and even bigger than poker. And actually, it's even more than 3 times the combined annual revenue of the NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL, the very leagues people are betting on. Until very recently, fans saw players as heroes, aspirational avatars for their dreams, and warriors for teams that they loved. But in a system that's scaled on FanDuel and DraftKings money, fans now see players as financial instruments, prop bets, transactional vehicles for their parlay. This normalized betting culture shifts fan engagement from a pure enjoyment of the sport to a fixation on profits and losses, which fundamentally exterminates any notion of a shared communal experience. Even the facade that we're all in this together, we're part of something bigger than ourselves, that is gone. This, combined with the player empowerment era terminating any pretense of the player's loyalty to anything, and you can see how it's all giving way to the detached nihilism that we see in today's fans. And again, this is all downstream of the money worship that is rotting this system's core, eating away at the soul of the game like a stage 4 tumor. There's simply nothing sacred, nothing special, and nothing essential living inside the NBA product. Like Ethan said, this has to be more than a business, or it's gonna fail. Fuse all of this to a media landscape that's now fully subsidized by gambling money, and you get studio hosts debating money lines on pregame shows, and a podcasting industry that's funded by casinos. And when the media's not shilling you prop bets, they're chasing clickbaity, off-the-court drama like the gossipy little bitches they are. This generation of sellout vampire media is better suited to be covering Vanderpump Rules than the f***ing NBA Finals. I mean, does anybody care about the actual basketball anymore? I'll ask it again. What happens to the sport when the game itself becomes an afterthought? Well, you're seeing it unfold in real time. And it's all downstream of the money worship that is rotting every vital organ inside the American basketball system. Owners, players, fans, media. It's money first and money only. Does Adam Silver care? There's no evidence that he does. And even if he did, he works for the owners, and their incentives are strictly financial. So, let's review. The NBA's base layer, AAU basketball, has been professionalized. College, well, NIL has made that pay for play. The NBA, it's 82 meaningless games to shill prop bets and fill the airtime between the commercials. It pains me to say it, but American basketball is a walking corpse. Does anyone care about the soul of the game? Well, if nobody else does, I do. And that's why I made The Spoils. It's a singular film with important solutions, and if we have any prayer of charting a new course for American basketball, the conversation I'm having right now needs a seat at the table. So, please subscribe to the channel, tell your friends to do the same, and go watch The Spoils. You'll be glad you did. For now, I'm Mike Nicoll. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you again soon.